why the Supreme Court's decision giving marriage federal benefit rights to those people who are married in 13 states, how that actually impacts New Jersey civil union couples who obviously don't get the benefits, but why would the court, the state court, look at that as an unequal right or an abridgment of rights or second-class citizenship? It's just a federal benefit to people in certain states who are legally married in those states, but you don't have legal marriage here in New Jersey.
New Jersey is in a special circumstance due to Lambda Legal's earlier case that was decided. This is Lewis versus Harris. Our earlier case was decided in 2006 by the New Jersey Supreme Court, and the New Jersey Supreme Court said in that case that the state's constitution guarantees equal rights and benefits to same-sex couples, equal rights and benefits as would be available in marriage. Now, we've been saying, since we filed our second lawsuit, that that's not happening in the state under civil unions. With yesterday's decision from the U.S. Supreme Court completely clearing the way for married same-sex couples in states that allow and recognize their marriage, New Jerseyans are walled off from a huge swath of their federal rights and benefits. Going back to the decision Lambda Legal won in 2006, that's illegal. And that's why we're moving back in court in just a few days. We'll be in court on July 3rd.
So, if I may follow up then, you go to Superior Court first. Would you expect this to be appealed? Well, actually, okay, so yeah, so would this be, could this be, whatever the Superior Court judge decides, if it's in your favor, would this then be appealed directly to the Supreme Court under your understanding, or how would that work?
If we need to take it back to the New Jersey Supreme Court, that's exactly what we'll do. And if
when I say appeal, I mean by the losing side.
Right, right. No, if we need to take it up to the Supreme Court, that is exactly what we'll do. And if other folks come to their senses, read the writing on the wall, and understand that the law of the land now is that for people to have equality, they have to have marriage, then we won't need to go that far, but we'll take it as far as we need to go.
You expect to win in Superior Court?
I think that we have a very clear case on the law now, and that's why we're wasting absolutely no time, and we'll be there in court next week.
Can we just make this like as concrete as possible? So due to Lambda's litigation, we have the state Supreme Court that said have to be equal rights. Whereas yesterday, it was equal rights under New Jersey law only because the federal government wouldn't provide benefits. Now, today, you have a whole regime of federal rights and federal benefits that New Jersey couples will be ineligible for the sole reason of civil unions. So for example, filing a joint tax return. If not for the civil union, you will be able to file it if you're married in New Jersey and you're an LGBT couple. Another example, take off of work under the Family Medical Leave Act to care for your spouse. Cannot do it under civil unions, under federal rights. You will be able to do it if you were married. Another example, sponsor your spouse for immigration purposes, to get them a green card. Now couples in New York, in Delaware, in 13 states in the District of Columbia will be able to do it because DOMA is down. If you're in a civil union, you cannot do it. The list goes on and on. There are 1,138 parts of federal law that reference marriage, and that applies to hundreds of federal benefits. And under Lewis versus Harris, Lambda's brilliant case, New Jersey couples have a right to equality under New Jersey's Constitution, but now they don't have it because of civil union, and that's what this lawsuit will fix, but also is what we hope will be this game-changing moment where the governor will realize that under the rule of law, and because he believes, and we know he does in the rule of law, he wants everyone to be treated equally, and whereas he was able to make one argument before 10 a.m. yesterday, that argument is no longer valid today.
But we heard him repeat himself last night.
I gotta say, I'm actually in the Hazel camp here. I believe that the past 24 hours have been such a game-changing moment that we need to all take a deep breath, and allow things to fall into place a bit and see where we are. So I'm hopeful, I'm very, very hopeful that Governor Christie will read carefully the Supreme Court's decision and realize that really the only path remaining for New Jersey under the Supreme Court decision is a path where all New Jersey couples are treated equally, and that is impossible under a civil union law right now, and therefore there has to be marriage equality now.
Out there, the legislative address and using the legal system. To what extent do you think the ultimate outcome and how it's accomplished here in New Jersey, to what extent does that impact how it happens in the remaining states that don't have marriage equality?
We say that there are multiple roads to justice, and they intersect and interact. So each can drive the other in a way. And the we're pleased that the first one to get there gets us equal rights and protects families as soon as possible. So, let them both proceed. We're moving in court within days, and if the legislation can move, then that's also good.
So does that impact other states, you think? Will other states follow New Jersey's example?
There's momentum in the country for marriage equality, and you saw that in spades yesterday. There's momentum for marriage equality. The polls show it, the courts show it, and certainly we hope it's going to be influential. These cases and what's going on around the country should be persuasive, and we think that what we can do here in New Jersey is part of that.
So here's the national landscape. 13 states have marriage equality in the District of Columbia. 4 states are like New Jersey in that they have civil unions for LGBT couples. So it's New Jersey, Hawaii, Colorado, and Illinois. Those 4 states are the next big battle for marriage equality. But New Jersey is particularly the epicenter of the next big battle for marriage equality because of Landa's case and decision from 2006 that added an extra protection under the New Jersey State Constitution that says that LGBT couples must be treated equally. So that's it. But then remember, after those scenarios, then the battle is going to be fought over constitutional amendments. There are 30 states, 32?
Yeah, most of the states, especially, yeah.
32 states with constitutional amendments that define marriage as between a man and a woman. That's where the much longer-term battle is going to be fought.
I have a question. Hazel, you have mentioned that you believe that a lot of Republican legislators would support marriage equality. Do you think if the opportunity for an override availed itself now, that they would vote for it?
Now, before the election? No way.
Why not?
Well, because I don't think, no politician wants to face the question of this merit or this big question before an election, and I think that it would be foolish to push for an override before the election. I think that most of what's going to happen with this is going to happen outside, that happens outside the courts will happen in lame duck.
There's a prevailing sentiment that a lot of Republican legislators that do support same-sex marriage won't vote for the override because they have a fear of antagonizing Governor Christie. Do they share that with you?
I've got to say on that note, we're asking the wrong. Hazel's amazing. But I would ask, you're the fourth estate, you're the press. We're going to be knocking on doors throughout the state. We're going to be making phone calls, and we're going to be talking to every legislator in the state in the coming months. And I'm telling you, all of you, have a responsibility to the people of New Jersey to ask these legislators that question. Rather than asking us, ask the elected legislators, not just Democrats and not just Republicans, either side, who voted no on this legislation, why they did, where they stand today, and if they understand the impact of the decision that just happened yesterday. Nobody's asking these questions except of us. It's time we started asking them, and we deserve the answer to these questions, and quickly.
Christie is a fear of bucking Governor Christie and facing the consequences of doing that is what's holding back the public.
Time will tell. I can't answer that now. I think that if Republicans in the legislature voted their conscience, that the override could happen. But, you know, we have to get to that point. We have a lot of work to do. I mean, it's not just going to happen because we're standing here with, you know, applause lines. I mean, that's not how it works. So, I don't know. I have always been an optimist, and I'm optimistic about this. And I think that people vote their conscience. You know, every once in a while, you got to step up. The election's over. You got another 2 years, another 4 years. If everybody votes their conscience, then we will get it.
The governor said, I don't mean to belabor this, but on the radio show last night, he was insulted with that the notion that they don't vote their conscience, that the implication that they're voting out of fear is insulting.
Well, I would agree.
And so,
It is insulting.
but,
But
right,
I
but
have
he says
no
they are
idea.
voting for their conscience.
I have no idea what they're doing. Whether they are or they aren't. You have to ask them.
Can you talk about the hearing yesterday, to get a sense of how the court is thinking about this matter, the judge?
The court is open to the motion and set an expedited schedule, and I'm really pleased that we can move within days to put this before the court. So I'm very encouraged that it's being taken seriously.
Anything for the 4th of July?
Independence Day. I love that we're filing basically on the eve of Independence Day, yes. The court will hear oral argument on August 15th.
Sounds like you guys don't expect an override vote today, is that correct?
Say that again?
No, we do not expect an override vote today.
Oh, today?
Do you share Hazel's sentiment that maybe that it would be unwise to have an override vote before the election?
I think it would be unwise to have an override vote before we have any votes to override.
You don't have that.
We're finding out. We just had a historic decision yesterday. We're taking the pulse of the legislature. I think that we're going to find that a lot's changed in the last 24 hours, and unfortunately, I haven't had time to call every single one of them, but we will be in the coming days and weeks, so I think it's going to be that time.
It is way, way, way too early to talk now about is this going to happen before the election or after the election. Let the dust settle. This is one of the most important, yesterday was one of the most important Supreme Court decisions in the history of this country. It is going to get time, it's going to take time for the public narrative to build, for everyone to understand the implication of it. Whether you're on the side of marriage equality or an opponent of marriage equality, it's going to take some time. So we're going to make sure that when the vote does happen, it will be in such a situation where we're going to win. And when that happens is yet to be